All right, April, we have another answer for you, and it's about the vehicle scratches. Okay. I managed a fleet. I handled about 120 to $140,000 a year worth of damage. And that was low because we had exceptional training at my DSP, exceptional driver training. Still happens. People still wreck vans, right? They still take turns too early, or they go down a driveway that's too tight and don't see an obstacle because the headlights are low and not exercising the appropriate amount of caution. So your question was, I bet you 90% of those scratches were from tree branches and should be classified as normal wear and tear. Now, the reason why I showed the damages in that video was because those were damages that cost about $2,000 a panel. I think I went through 34 panels in that video. So 34 times $2,000 each is about what? $68,000? That's a lot of damage. And no, they were not from tree branches. Most of those are from overhangs, apartment complexes, carports, things like that. Tree branches typically don't scratch through the paint, right? But the scratches you saw were through the paint. If a tree branch has been cut recently, it might have enough if it gets the right angle, and then it could go through the paint. But anything that's buffable, I'm not counting that as damage. That's regular tree branch stuff. But those were dents. Those are drivers hitting objects. And that's why I shared them, because at my DSP, that was a factor where we let people go. And this piggybacks on your second. Now, I'm the one that would let the drivers go for excessive vehicle damage. And by excessive, I mean, if it's a small dent and they apologize for it, I'm going to be very lenient on that, but I don't want to see it happen again, right? Because the cost is, astronomical, and I'm trying to make sure that we all have jobs to go to every day, right? So secondly, you said, what does Amazon DSP expect when you're putting 21-year-olds who have been driving since the age of 16 or 17, however, never driven a cargo van, and then put them under strict time constraints? I am 100% with you. And that is why in my book, I talk about training drivers at the DSP level and not the Amazon level, teaching them to get out and observe their clearances. My trainers had a 86-point checklist. Many of them complained it was too long. But it was important, because if you don't give the driver exposure to those lessons, like, hold on, get out, stop, let's get out and look. Let me show you the trajectory of the van, and let's look at this front fender, right? So what do we expect? Well, I think the DSPs expect what they're told, in that Amazon provides them with training. Well, if the training was so good, why are all the drivers damaging vans? Why are the vans in such an awful condition, right? Now, the trainers at Amazon, especially at our station nearby here, where they train like 4 or 5 stations worth of drivers, they work hard and they care and they mean well. The problem is that they're not the ones who determine what is taught. Okay. So at my DSP and at my direction, we trained the drivers on how to drive safely. And if our drivers are going out there and damaging vans repeatedly, then we look at that trainer and we go, okay, what's going on here? Take them off of training. Okay. We follow that checklist and we make sure those drivers get exposure, because even though they've been driving from 16 or 17 years old until they're 21, who knows how they were trained? Have they ever driven a commercial delivery vehicle? Probably not. So those considerations I would also talk about at the stand-up briefing almost every day. Hey guys, I just did the vehicle inspection this morning, as I do every single morning. And I noticed that we have 4 new vans with damage on the top. So I want you guys to, on the way back to your van, after you're done delivering that packages, don't have your eyes on your phone. Have your eyes up looking, how am I going to get out of here? And observe those clearances. That way, it reduces the amount of damage. There's going to be damage. People are going to make mistakes. You guys are human beings. And I recognize that. Now, if a driver completely can openers the top of my roof of one of my vans, which I believe I showed in that video, that was $8,000 worth of damage. that I was able to negotiate down, I think, to $8,000 from 10. Wheeling and dealing with the local collision repair vendor. And I think I like promised to bring him more vans so he could, justify doing it for a lower cost, but I really needed that van and I couldn't have that happen. Right. So I had to let that driver go. You'll soon figure out you don't have the luxury to fire people when other people are quitting left and right, calling out sick, no call, no show, camera violations, and told to RTS, on leave due to injuries, on scheduled leave, can't finish routes due to burnout, etc. We didn't have those problems. I mean, we did have those problems, but we addressed those problems with proper training. Honest to God. And if we were really in a tight spot, my dispatchers or operations managers who are doing the scheduling would say, hey, John, we are light-handed tomorrow. Can you make a call out on the net and let everybody know, like, yo, we can't take any more call outs tomorrow. We need all hands on deck. And drivers wouldn't call out when I asked. It's respect. They know I'm there every day. I'm going to put in the work and I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that they have safe vans to drive. And out of respect for that, they're less inclined to call out. Now, people do have emergencies, and people have family situations. And I wish we were a little bit more compassionate about that. I'm a little bit soft on those kind of things. I'm not so hardcore, but we were able to have a wonderful tenured workforce. I think we had 10 drivers that were with us for like 3 years, maybe even more than that. I mean, people come and go, and I always encouraged people to, hey, this ain't a forever job. Okay. You get burned out. Your knees start hurting. If your knee starts hurting and you're not wearing Cambivo knee sleeves, right, to help with the pressure on your knee, and you constantly getting out of the van on that same knee, well, it hurts over time. People end up developing medical conditions, or they slip, not using 3 points of contact when they get out of the van and then turning around and grabbing the packages, right? Or they're not paying attention to where they're going. It's dark outside. They're not wearing a headlamp. I bought headlamps for all of my drivers. It was issued in the winter season, not in the summer, because obviously, but in the north, in Washington State, I bought all of my drivers headlamps. But someone would say, I forgot my headlamp, John. All right, I'm gonna let you borrow this one, but you better bring it back. It's $12. So I always made sure the drivers had the tools they needed to succeed. And I'm really sorry that you're experiencing that. I hope that maybe some of these tips and techniques, persistence, when you know what the right thing to do is, and you're just always trying to do that thing, going above and beyond, the people naturally start to follow you. That's how I did it. I had 140 drivers, I think at the high of 160. And, while some of them got mad or got upset or got frustrated about the job, I remember this one guy left loadout. He was irate. And I pulled him around to the RTS side and said, hey, get over here. Let's talk about this, and he opened that door and he unloaded on me, and I took it. And then about 3 minutes later, he goes, how did you do that? I'm not even mad now. I'm not even angry. And I was like, what are you talking about? Sometimes when people are heard and listened to, let them vent, let them get it out, and then provide them with solutions to their problems. If you got a tip for somebody, give it to them. I was just a regular driver helping out all the drivers by, sharing videos locally, sharing how to deal with the connectivity issues, sharing how to solve maintenance problems, how to diagnose whether or not it's a starter failure, how to diagnose all kinds of issues, for the vehicle. And anytime the drivers had a problem and they reported it, I had a mechanism in place to capture that problem and do something about it. And if it was a repeated problem, well, then I'd put a mechanism in place to prevent it from happening again. Not all places have something like this. And the turnover rate and frustration at DSPs prevents a lot of the talent like that from being there. And it takes special characters to go above and beyond for their people to take care of them. It's hard. It's hard to win people over to your way of thinking. But if you're persistent and you keep trying, and that's what you want to do because you care about them, then do it.